Welcome to this video on how to answer the longer answer questions, 6 marks, AQA C2. So a few things to think about when tackling these questions. Firstly, don't be afraid of them. They are actually a really easy way of picking marks up. This is because examiners have specific mark schemes they have to follow. So it's an idea of about learning the rules and just seeing what types of things you need to put in to access the marks. And it's easy to pick up at least 4 marks with actually only writing a few words. The reason for this is that you'll always get the same question in higher and foundation, which means that both higher and foundation candidates should be able to get full marks on them. So effectively this question has only got a levelling up to a high C grade. So let's have a look at the first question. So the first thing we need to do is we need to look at this information. So in this question, you'll be assessed on using good English, organising information clearly, and using specialist terms where appropriate. Now, being 100% honest, you don't necessarily need to do a wonderful work of literary genius to actually get 6 marks. You just need to write pretty simple English. But let's look at the question here. So it says explain. So I'm highlighting explain. So remember, explain as a command word in science basically means tell me something scientific. Some scientific information that you've learned. Okay, why chlorine is a gas at room temperature and why sodium is a solid at room temperature. So I'm highlighting these because these are important, because remember with chemistry, when you're talking about substances as gases or solids, there's reasons for that to do with the bonding. We continue further down, include a description. So this is basically saying what it is. Don't need to go in any more detail than that. Of the bonding. So what is the bonding and what is the structure of chlorine and sodium chloride? So in other words, what you need to do is you've got 6 things to do. What are the types of bonds for chlorine? What is the structure of chlorine? Why chlorine is a gas? So make statements about that. The types of bonds for sodium. The structure of sodium chloride, and why sodium chloride is a solid. So they're the key things that you need to be thinking about based on what you can see that I've highlighted on this question. So what you now need to do is pause the video and have a go at answering those questions. So hopefully now you've paused the video, and let's have a go at going through the answers. Now, by doing these will actually get you 6 marks. So the types of bonds of chlorine. So remember, chlorine, you've got 2 atoms of chlorine making it a diatomic molecule. Because it is a non-metal, we are talking about covalent bonds. So covalent bonds between our chlorines. Between our chlorine atoms. So straight away, that's going to pick you up marks. So the structure of chlorine, remember you need to learn about 3, 4 different types of structures. So chlorine, because it's only a diatomic molecule, it's a relatively simple covalent structure. Lovely. Okay. And what we know about simple covalent molecules is they've got a very, very low melting point and very, very low boiling point. So thinking about that then, why does that happen? Because that relates it to being a gas. So we can say it's got a low boiling point. And the reason for that is that there is weak bonds between, that's important, between our molecules. So the bonds between our Cl, they're very strong, but between our next lot of chlorine molecules, these are quite weak. So by doing that, you are going to get 4 marks by just talking about one of the compounds, or one of the structures, chlorine or sodium. But then you can talk about the types of bonding in sodium chloride. And we know that sodium chloride is a giant ionic structure. So we have ionic bonding. And if we think about the structure of sodium chloride, what we've got is we've got our ions are joined together, forming a lattice. A very, very important word. Okay, and what we know is why it's a solid. So again, it's a solid because it's got a high melting point, and the reason it's got a high melting point is because we've got strong bonds, and therefore we need lots of energy to break the bonds, resulting in it having a very high melting point. And you could just say for chlorine gas as well, low energy needed to break bonds. So what seems like quite a hard 6-mark question actually isn't. Hopefully that's helped, and have a look at another video. Thank you. Bye bye.